The cloaking field shimmered above Earth, visible only from the inside as a faint blue glow against the night sky. For 300 years, this shield had hidden humanity from the wider galaxy. Most people hardly noticed it anymore, it was simply part of life, like the air they breathed. June Park stood before the massive control panel, his face lit by dozens of blinking lights. The shield maintenance chamber was buried deep beneath Sol, one of 6 control stations positioned strategically around the planet. As chief engineer of the Eastern Shield Division, he had spent 15 years monitoring these systems. Never before had he seen readings like these. "This can't be right," he muttered, tapping the fluctuation graph. The shield's energy pattern showed dangerous instability, ripples that shouldn't exist in a stable field. He pressed his communication badge. "Commander Hannah, we have a situation." Within 20 minutes, Commander Hannah Kim arrived, her uniform crisp despite the late hour. Her expression remained calm, but June noticed the tension in her shoulders. "Show me," she said simply. June pulled up the visual models. "These energy spikes began 3 days ago. At first, I thought it was standard solar interference, but the pattern is growing worse. The shield harmonics are destabilizing." Hannah studied the data. "Cause? Unusual solar flare activity. Our sun is entering an unexpected active phase that wasn't predicted in our models. The radiation is affecting the shield's quantum stability." "Can we fix it?" June hesitated. "Not permanently. I can stabilize it temporarily, but these calculations suggest complete shield failure within 3 months." Commander Hannah's usual stoic expression faltered. 3 months until we're visible to the galaxy? Yes. After 3 centuries of hiding, we'll be exposed. Far across the galaxy, Officer Dury sat at his monitoring station aboard the Galactic Council's observation outpost. His blue-tinged skin reflected the soft lighting as his 6-fingered hands moved across the sensor controls. The sensory division had been his assignment for 12 cycles, monitoring this quiet sector of space where nothing interesting ever happened. Until today. A soft beep drew his attention to the quantum fluctuation detector. There was an energy reading where there should be nothing but empty space. Dury ran the scan again. The reading remained. "Supervisor Tech," he called, "I'm detecting unusual energy patterns in Sector 87G. Supervisor Tech, a tall being with gray skin and 4 eyes, moved to Dury's station. That sector has been empty since records began. Nevertheless, there's something there. The energy signature doesn't match any known cosmic phenomenon." Tech studied the readings with all 4 eyes narrowed. "Send this to Central Analysis immediately. Then notify Council Leader Mach." Within hours, the Galactic Council's central chamber buzzed with activity. Representatives from 30 major species gathered around the holographic display showing the mysterious energy readings. Council Leader Mach, an imposing figure with metallic scales and eyes that reflected light like mirrors, called the session to order. "Analysis confirms these energy patterns are artificial in nature," Mach announced. "They bear similarities to theoretical cloaking technology, though far more advanced than anything currently known." Representative Pell, from the Science Division, spoke up. "If this is a cloaking field, it must be hiding something significant, possibly an entire planetary system." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Hidden planets were the stuff of myths, not reality. "We must investigate," Mach decided. "Prepare the Starseeker for immediate deployment. This discovery takes priority over all current missions." Back on Earth, an emergency meeting of the Defense Council had been called. 12 leaders from around the world gathered in the underground chamber beneath the old United Nations building in New York. Commander Hannah presented June's findings. "The shield will fail completely in 3 months. We have no way to prevent this." Defense Minister Tay leaned forward. "Can we evacuate? Move our population to the colonies on Mars or Europa?" "Not at this scale," Science Director Minji replied. "Those colonies can support thousands, not billions." "Then we prepare for contact," General Lee stated firmly. "We've always known this day might come." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. After centuries of isolation, of hiding from the dangers they had once observed in the stars, humanity would be exposed. Our ancestors created the shield to protect us during our most vulnerable period, Minji said. Perhaps they always intended for us to rejoin the galaxy eventually. June's voice was quiet but clear. We've spent centuries developing independently, free from outside influence. Our technology, our culture, they're uniquely ours. Whatever happens next, we face it as humans, not as anyone's subjects. As the Council debated Earth's future, the Starseeker detached from its dock at the Galactic Central Station and began its journey toward the mysterious energy signature. First contact was coming. Whether humanity was ready or not, the Starseeker emerged from hyperspace with a flash of blue light. The massive ship, shaped like a curved arrowhead, slowed as it approached the coordinates where the energy readings had been detected. Captain Rim stood on the bridge, her four eyes blinking in sequence as she studied the viewscreen. "Sensors are detecting a star system," reported Officer Dury, his voice rising with excitement. It was hidden completely until now. The crew watched in amazement as the sensors revealed an entire solar system where their charts showed empty space. And there, third from the sun, was a blue-green planet. "Life signs?" asked Captain Rim. "Billions," whispered Dury. "And technology readings that exceed Council standards in several areas." Captain Rim contacted Council leader Mach immediately. "We've found a hidden world. The inhabitants appear advanced. Requesting permission to initiate contact protocols." On Earth, the failure of the shield had thrown governments into crisis mode. Captain Sukhan of Earth's defense fleet watched from the bridge of the Guardian as the alien ship appeared at the edge of their solar system. "They're just watching us," she said to her second-in-command. "No aggressive movements." When the alien ship finally sent a communication request, it was routed to the newly formed First Contact Committee in the Seoul Command Center. Commander Hannah and June stood with other world leaders as the message played. "Greetings from the Galactic Council," came the translated voice. "We request peaceful dialogue. Our ship, the Starseeker, comes with diplomatic intentions only." After hours of careful consideration, Earth agreed to a meeting on neutral ground, an orbital station positioned between Earth and its moon. June found himself among the small team chosen to represent humanity. His engineering knowledge might prove valuable in these first discussions. As their shuttle docked with the station, he fought to control his racing heart. "Remember," Commander Hannah whispered, "they know nothing about us except what they've observed in the past week. We have the advantage of having studied the galaxy for centuries." The meeting room was simple, a circular table with chairs adjusted for different body types. The Earth delegation entered first, taking their positions with practiced calm despite their inner turmoil. When the aliens entered, June struggled to maintain his composure. Council Representative Liz had pale green skin with faint patterns like leaves. Her eyes, three of them, blinked in a slow rhythm. Behind her came Officer Dury and two others of different species. "We welcome you," began Commander Hannah, "though we admit this meeting comes sooner than we had planned." Representative Liz tilted her head. "Your world was hidden. The Council has existed for 12,000 years, yet we never knew humans existed." "Why?" Science Director Minji answered carefully. "Our ancestors observed the galaxy before making contact. They saw conflicts, conquests. They decided humanity needed time to develop independently." The meeting continued for hours. The aliens were particularly interested in human adaptability. "Your species can survive in so many environments," Liz observed, studying data on her tablet. "Most galactic species evolve as specialists, perfect for specific roles and environments. But humans, you adapt to almost anything." "Is that unusual?" asked Defense Minister Tay. "Very," replied Dury. "I specialize in sensory analysis. Another of my species might process information or communicate with technology. None of us could do all three well, as many humans can." As the meeting concluded, Representative Liz made an announcement. "The full council must discuss this discovery. We will return in 7 days with official recognition of Earth's status." Once the alien delegation departed, Earth's team returned to the planet. An emergency session of world leaders convened immediately. They seemed peaceful, noted Science Director Minji optimistically. For now, countered Defense Minister Tay. But did you notice how they reacted to our technological capabilities? They were surprised, perhaps threatened. Jun shared his observations about the aliens' specialized evolution. They seemed almost concerned by our adaptability. As if it makes us unpredictable. In the following days, Earth monitored transmissions from the departing Starseeker. Their encryption was sophisticated, but not impenetrable to Earth's advanced systems. What they discovered was troubling. "They're calling us dangerous," Commander Hannah reported. "Not because we've threatened them, but because of what we are." A partial transmission translation played. Humans developed independently, without guidance. Their adaptability makes them unpredictable. They could fill any role, take any position in the galactic order. Another voice responded, or disrupted entirely. "A species that hid itself away may have other secrets. We must determine if they can be controlled." Defense Minister Tay's expression hardened. "So it begins. Just as our ancestors feared. We should prepare for all possibilities," Commander Hannah agreed. "But let's not assume the worst. This could still be the beginning of a peaceful relationship." As Earth prepared for the Council's return, ordinary citizens looked to the stars with new eyes. After centuries of hiding, humanity was about to take its place in the galactic community, ready or not. 7 days passed quickly as Earth prepared for the Council's return. Military forces remained on high alert while diplomats rehearsed possible scenarios for the upcoming meeting. Ordinary citizens alternated between excitement and fear as news channels debated what galactic citizenship might mean for humanity. When the Council ships returned, there were 3 of them, the Starseeker, flanked by 2 larger vessels with obvious weapon systems. "That doesn't look like a friendly diplomatic visit," muttered Commander Hannah as she watched their approach from Earth's orbital command station. This time, the Council requested that their meeting take place aboard their flagship. After careful consideration, Earth agreed but sent a smaller delegation, Commander Hannah, Defense Minister Tay, and Jun, whose engineering expertise might prove valuable. The Council chamber was impressive, a vast room with seats arranged in rising tiers around a central speaking platform. Representatives from 20 different species watched the humans enter. Some showed curiosity, others clear distrust. Council leader Mok stood at the center. His metallic scales gleamed under the lights as he addressed the human delegation. "The Galactic Council has reached a decision regarding Earth," he announced without preamble. "Your planet has developed in isolation, without guidance or oversight. This presents certain concerns." Representative Liss stepped forward with a tablet. "We propose the following terms for Earth's integration into the galactic community." The terms appeared on a large screen for all to read. Earth must accept Council oversight officials in all major governments. Human military forces must be reduced by 60%. All advanced technology must be registered and monitored. Human expansion beyond Earth must be approved by Council vote. Travel restrictions would limit human presence in certain sectors. Defense Minister Tay read through the list, his face darkening. "These aren't terms for membership. They're demands for submission." "They are necessary precautions," replied Mok. "A species that hid itself away may have other secrets. The Council must ensure galactic stability." Commander Hannah remained calm. "And if Earth rejects these terms?" "Then Earth will be isolated," said Representative Liss. "No trade, no cultural exchange, no access to hyperspace routes. Complete quarantine." A murmur ran through the Council chamber. Some representatives looked uncomfortable with this harsh stance. Jun studied the faces around him. Most showed resolve, but some, like Officer Dury, seemed troubled by the ultimatum. There were divisions here that might be useful. "May we have time to consult with our governments?" Commander Hannah asked. 24 hours, granted Mok. "We await your answer." Back on their shuttle, heading toward Earth, Minister Tay exploded with anger. they fear us. Not because we've threatened anyone, but because we don't fit into their neat categories. It's worse than that, said June quietly. I analyzed their ship systems while we were aboard. Their technology is advanced in some areas but surprisingly limited in others. I believe they've deliberately restricted innovation in certain fields. Commander Hannah made a decision. I think it's time we showed them that humans have not been idle during our centuries of hiding. When they returned to Earth, an emergency council convened. After hours of debate, a plan formed. When the deadline arrived, the Earth delegation returned to the council flagship with their answer. Earth respectfully declines your terms, announced Commander Hannah to the assembled council. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Leader Mock's scales darkened with anger. Then you choose isolation, he declared. Before you make that decision final, Commander Hannah continued, there's something you should know. She nodded to June, who activated a small device. Suddenly, holographic images appeared throughout the council chamber, showing council worlds, military installations, even private meetings between council leaders. What is this? Demanded Mock. Evidence that we've been observing you for decades, replied Commander Hannah calmly. When our ancestors created the shield, they also launched thousands of invisible observation platforms throughout council space. The council erupted in shock and outrage. We know your strengths and your weaknesses, continued Commander Hannah. We know about the rebellions on the outer worlds that you've kept secret. We know about species that have been denied membership because they might disrupt your hierarchy. During the commotion, council scientist Gian approached June quietly. Your technology is remarkable, he whispered. The neural interfaces your people use, I've theorized about such systems, but the council discourages that line of research. Why? Asked June. Control, Gian replied simply. Specialized species are easier to manage. Their conversation was interrupted when alert signals blared through the ship. A council officer rushed to Leader Mock. An outpost near the Taurus Nebula has been attacked, the officer reported urgently. The weapon's signature, it appears to be human technology. All eyes turned accusingly toward the Earth delegation. That's impossible, said Commander Hannah. We have no ships in that sector. Yet the evidence points to human aggression, declared Mock. This meeting is concluded. The Council now considers Earth a hostile power. As they were escorted back to their shuttle, Gian pressed something into June's hand. Data about the attack, he whispered. Something isn't right. Contact me on this secure channel. The Earth delegation departed, leaving confusion and fear behind them. What should have been a diplomatic triumph had turned into a potential war, and someone was working very hard to make it happen. Back on Earth, Commander Hannah called an emergency meeting in the secure bunker beneath Seoul. Military leaders from around the world joined virtually while June analyzed the data Gian had secretly given him. This attack makes no sense, Defense Minister Tae said. We don't have ships anywhere near the Taurus Nebula. And we'd never attack first, added Commander Hannah. Something isn't right. June looked up from his tablet, his face pale. I found something in this data. The weapon signature that supposedly proves human involvement? It contains traces of Vorish technology. Vorish? Asked Minister Tae. I've never heard of them. June pulled up historical records from Earth's observation archives. That's because they're rarely seen. Our ancestors recorded only brief mentions of them in council records. They're described almost like a myth, a secretive species that keeps to the shadows. The secure communication device Gian had given June suddenly lit up. The scientist's face appeared, looking nervous. I don't have much time, Gian said quickly. I've been analyzing the attack data too. Those weren't human weapons, they were made to look human. I believe this is a Vorish operation. Tell us about the Vorish, Commander Hannah requested. Gian lowered his voice. They're not a myth as most believe. They've manipulated galactic politics for thousands of years. They engineered the council system itself, keeping species specialized and dependent on each other. Why would they do that? Asked June. Control, Gian explained. Specialized species are easier to predict and manage. But humans, you're different. Your adaptability makes you dangerous to their system. You can learn any skill, fill any role. You don't need the council structure they've carefully built. Their conversation was interrupted by alarm sirens. Earth's early warning system had detected multiple ships entering the solar system. "We're under attack," shouted an officer, rushing into the room. Commander Hannah rushed to the command center. The main screen showed dozens of ships appearing seemingly from nowhere, bypassing Earth's outer detection grid. "How did they get so close without warning?" she demanded. "Unknown technology," replied the sensor officer. "They're not council ships, the design is completely different." Minister Tay stared at the screen. "The Vorish. They're not waiting for the council to deal with us." The first strikes hit Earth's orbital defenses, destroying 3 satellites before the planetary shield system could activate. This wasn't the old cloaking shield, this was a defensive barrier that Earth had developed during its centuries of isolation. "Activate Defense Grid Alpha," ordered Commander Hannah. "Launch the lunar and Mars defense fleets." Hidden bases on Earth's moon and Mars opened, revealing hundreds of ships that most Earth citizens didn't even know existed. Earth had been preparing for this possibility for generations. June worked frantically with Jian over the secure channel. "The Vorish ships have some kind of phase technology, they can partially shift out of normal space to avoid detection and weapons." "Yes," confirmed Jian. "But they have to fully materialize to fire their weapons. That's your window to attack." Earth's ships engaged the Vorish fleet in orbit. The battle was fierce, with losses on both sides. Conventional weapons proved largely ineffective against the Vorish phase technology. "We need something that can hit them even when they're shifted," June told Commander Hannah. "Like what?" she asked. June thought quickly. "The mining platforms on the asteroid belt, they use gravity disruptors to break up rocks. Gravity would affect them even when phased." Commander Hannah immediately ordered the mining fleet to join the battle. It was a desperate move, but it was working. The repurposed mining equipment created gravity distortions that pulled Vorish ships fully into normal space, making them vulnerable. Meanwhile, Jian had taken an enormous risk. He broadcast data about the false flag attack to the entire council, along with historical records showing Vorish manipulation. "The humans aren't your enemy," his message concluded. "They've been framed by the same force that has controlled us all for millennia." On the council flagship, Leader Mach watched the evidence with growing horror. The council had nearly been tricked into destroying a potentially valuable ally and perpetuating their own subtle enslavement. The tide of battle turned when council ships arrived, not to attack Earth, but to join forces against the Vorish. The once mythical manipulators found themselves caught between 2 forces. "This isn't over," came a transmission from the lead Vorish ship before it, and the remaining fleet vanished into hyperspace. "You've exposed us, but there are more of us than you know." As the immediate threat passed, Commander Hannah looked out at the combined Earth and Council fleet. "Now comes the hard part," she said. "Building trust after everything that's happened." June nodded as he watched Jian's ship approach for landing. "But at least now we're fighting the real enemy, not each other." The Earth Orbital Command Center buzzed with activity as representatives from the Council and human leaders gathered 3 weeks after the battle. The room had been transformed into a makeshift diplomatic chamber, with Earth's blue-green sphere visible through the large viewport. Council leader Mach stood before the assembly, his metallic scales reflecting the light differently now, somehow less rigid, more alive. Beside him stood Commander Hannah and June, who had become key figures in the new alliance. For thousands of years, the Council believed it represented the natural order of the galaxy, Mach began. "We now know our entire civilization was shaped by Vorish influence. They guided our evolution, encouraging specialization that made us dependent on their system. The evidence had been overwhelming once people began looking for it." Jian had led a team of scientists who uncovered ancient records showing subtle Vorish manipulation across hundreds of worlds. Species had been genetically nudged toward specialized development. Cultural exchanges that might have sparked too much adaptation were mysteriously disrupted. "Humanity escaped this fate by hiding away," continued Mach. Your independence preserved something precious that the rest of us nearly lost: the drive to adapt, to change, to become more than what we were born as. Minister Tay leaned toward Commander Hannah. He almost sounds respectful now, he whispered. Fear and respect often look similar, she replied quietly. The aftermath of the battle had revealed the extent of the Vorish conspiracy. They had infiltrated council leadership for centuries, guiding policy and keeping the galactic species carefully separated into their specialized roles. When humanity appeared adaptable, independent, able to fill any role, they recognized an immediate threat to their control system. We propose a new alliance, Mock announced. Not the old council structure of control and oversight, but a true partnership of equals. Earth will join as a founding member of the new Galactic Alliance. The terms were displayed for all to see: mutual defense, open cultural exchange, shared technology development. Nothing like the controlling demands of the original ultimatum. Later that day, June walked with Jian through the Earth orbital garden. The alien scientist marveled at the diversity of plants growing together in the carefully maintained ecosystem. This is what fascinates me about humans, Jian said. You create harmony from diversity. The Vorish taught us that specialization was the only path to stability. Different strengths working together, June agreed. It's the foundation of human society. No one person can do everything, but together we can solve almost any problem. That's what the Vorish feared most: beings who could think beyond their assigned roles. Jian touched a flowering plant gently. My people were engineered to excel at scientific analysis, but we were subtly discouraged from practical applications. Theory without practice. And now, asked June. Now we learn from humans how to break those limitations. Across the station, Commander Hannah met with representatives from 7 former Council worlds. These species had shown the most interest in what humans called the Freedom Alliance, a coalition dedicated to breaking the patterns of controlled specialization. We don't want to replace Vorish control with human control, Hannah explained. Each species must find its own path to greater adaptability. But we need guidance, said the representative from NOLA, a world of natural engineers who had been restricted from developing their own technology. Our people have lived within these limitations for countless generations. We'll share our knowledge and methods, promised Hannah, but you must discover your own potential. That's the true freedom we offer. On Earth, cities celebrated as the first official alien delegations arrived. After centuries of hiding, the planet welcomed visitors from across the galaxy. Cultural exchanges began, with humans sharing their art, music, and ideas while learning from the unique perspectives of other species. 6 months after the battle, a ceremony marked the official founding of the Freedom Alliance. 12 species, including humans, signed the charter aboard the newly constructed Alliance station. The station itself represented the new philosophy, built with technology contributions from all member worlds. Council leader Mock, now serving as the transitional representative until free elections could be held, addressed the gathered delegates. The Vorish believed that control and predictability were necessary for peace. For too long, we accepted their guidance without question. Now we choose a different path, one of freedom and mutual growth. June, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the Alliance, stepped forward to sign the charter. He thought about how quickly everything had changed. From hiding behind shields to standing as equals with alien species, humanity's long isolation had ended. We hid ourselves away not from fear, June said to the assembly, but to preserve something precious, the human spirit of innovation and self-determination. Now we offer this gift to the galaxy, the courage to chart your own path. As the ceremony concluded, reports arrived of more worlds seeking to join the Alliance. The Vorish were still out there, their influence not entirely removed from galactic affairs. But they no longer operated from the shadows. Their control was broken, and a new order was beginning, one built on freedom rather than limitation.